Mr. Saul, 67 years old, earned a taxable income of 422,830 Rand and 50 cents. For the 2021 tax year, Mr. Saul paid 70,893 Rands and 70 cents in taxes for the 2019-2020 tax year. Table 5 shows the tax table for the 2020-2021 tax year. Okay, so Mr. Saul is not a member of a medical aid. Okay, 5.2.1. Write down the general trend of the secondary rebate in table 6. So general trend means what is happening to the particular thing they speak about. In this case, they're speaking about the secondary rebate. So let's go to rebates. When you come to rebates, there's your secondary rebate over here. So what we're going to look at is what is actually happening to the secondary rebate in that area there. Now you notice this is the 2021 and this is the previous year, so it goes towards the previous years. So all you can see is that from the previous year, the most previous year, you see that there's a small amount, but as you come to 2021, right, that year there, you see there's a higher amount there. So basically the trend that's happening is as the years pass by, as the years increase, right, then so does the amount for the secondary rebate. So let's put this in writing. So we can say is as the years increase, right, the amount of secondary rebate increases. So that's basically what's happening over there. Fairly easy for 2 marks. Five point 2.2. Identify in which tax bracket Mr. Saul falls based on his taxable income for the 2020-2021 tax year. So the first thing you need to do is you need to look at what his taxable income is, and you'll find it in this portion here right at the top, right over there. You find the taxable income there is 422,830 and 50 cents. So we're going to use that there, and we're going to try and put it into this area here. So which bracket does that amount, this amount here, fall into the section here? So by looking at it, we can see that the 422,000 would fall into the third tax bracket, which is between, okay, we call the tax bracket 3 because that's the third row there. So we can say tax bracket 3. In this case, they are not labeling the tax brackets, but just to expose you to, should they ask you and they have numbers next to those brackets, you can say tax bracket 3. So that is like the third line, and that is 337,801 to 467,500. Now if you notice, in between this, the 422,830 and 50 cents will fall in between that range there. So that's basically what we are saying. 5.2.3. Calculate Mr. Saul's annual tax payable for 2020-2021. So now that we know which tax bracket we're going to work with, so all we need to do now is we need to look at the right hand side of the tax bracket. So we need to look at this line here, and we need to write down exactly what they are saying in that line. So in that line they are saying that it is 70,352, right, plus 31%, right, of taxable income, right, and it says above, and it gives us an amount of 337,800. That means this 31% will be anything above this amount here. But let's see how we're going to put it down in a mathematical sense. So there's nothing we can do with this first number. So let's put our 31%. We're going to multiply it by that off there. Remember, this off here means multiplication, right? So multiplied by, and now anything above means that we need to see a difference of what's above. So we take what he earns, that means this taxable income amount, which is 422. They're given us at the top of the information right at the beginning. Right, we're going to take this amount here, we're going to subtract it the 337,800. So this will allow us to see the above part. Alright, so all we need to do is take his taxable income and subtract it from whatever that mathematical statement gives us for each bracket, whichever we encounter. So now we can use the calculator and further simplify this. So all we need to do is we take 70, there's nothing we can do with this, plus 31% times, right, and the difference there will be 85,030, right, and 50 cents. So now remember, we board mess, we do our multiplication first. So it's 352 plus, let's do our 31% of that, and that would give us 26,359 rand and 455. We'll just leave it as that, right? And then when we come to this year, I left it as this year because I'll round off right at the end. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add this two amounts up, so we should get 96,891,455. Right, now once we've done this here, remember we haven't finished because we need to work in the sequence. Now remember, just to revise, we did this portion first, right? Then we're going to do the multiplication first, then we're going to add thereafter. So do your bracket first there, then do the multiplication part, then do the addition last, and we come to that. Now we haven't finished, because remember, when we're working out somebody's annual tax payable, we need to subtract the rebates. Now let's subtract the rebates. Please make sure you show this working, because it will help you and you'll get marks, CA marks, etc. Right? So now that we look at the rebates, we need to look at his age. If you see in this question, you'll see right at the top there in the beginning, they'll tell you he's 67 years old. So when you look at the table there, you'll see he'll fall in this bracket here, which is the primary everyone has to pay, and then you'll see he'll fall into that too as well, because that secondary is 65 years and older. Right, so he's 67 years old. Remember, we can go only as far as, we can't go into the tertiary because that's 75 and older, right? Okay, so let's subtract those two amounts. So in the primary we find it's 14,958, right? And then we'll also subtract the secondary, which is 8,199. Now remember, we are taking the amounts for the 2021 section, right? So now that we subtract those, we can subtract it and we'll get our final answer of 73,734 and 46 cents. Now rounded that off. The only thing is now is generally we subtract the medical aid credits, but in this particular instance, remember this information given to us, it says he's not a member of the medical aid. So we can stop our answer right over here and we'll fulfill everything the question asks us. 5.2.4, Mr. Saul states that even though he received a salary increase of 5.5%, his income tax increased by more than 5.5% in the 2021 tax year. Verify showing all calculation whether Mr. Saul's statement is correct. So in order for us to work out this here, remember what he's comparing is percentage. He wants to know whether his percentage, he's made a statement to say that his percentage that he's received, which is 5.5 salary increase, and now that his income tax is increased more than the 5.5%. So we're going to get an answer in terms of percentage. Now in order for us to do this, we have to compare his amounts. Now we see some additional information given to us here. See, it's this amount here where they're giving to us is tax that he paid for the previous year, and now we've just worked out what his tax is going to be for the current year, which is 2021. So all we need to do is we remember this formula here, which is new amount minus old amount over old amount times 100%, and that will give us our percentage answer. So basically percentage increase and decrease formula is being used here. So let's substitute into this. Okay, so what's our new amount? Our new amount is the amount we just worked out, which is 73,734 rand and 46 cents. That's what we've just worked out in the previous question, and we minus the old amount which we find at the beginning of the question, which is 70,893 and 70 cents. Now remember, this is the tax payable, the annual tax payable amounts. So we'll also divide by the old amount. Alright, and then we need to multiply that by 100%. Alright, substituting in the formula, we show the substitution, and let's show our difference of simplification. We have 2,840 and 76 cents divided by 70,893 rand and 70 cents, multiplying that by 100%, and we'll see our final answer will be 4.01%. Now he's made a statement that his taxable income now is more than 5.5%. So therefore, no, his statement, Mr. Saw's statement, is not valid. Make sure you don't forget to verify your work if they ask you to say whether a certain statement is true or not, and learners tend to forget this one line, and remember it's 1 mark, so 1 mark is as good as the next, and it's very important. 1 mark can determine whether you pass or fail.